Hey, welcome to the Mod Golf YouTube channel. I'm Colin Weston, your host, and today my guest is Preston Phillips, who is a partner with White Rock and also a venture partner with Cerro Capital. They're involved heavily in the sport innovation, sport technology, sport experience space. We had a great conversation over on our long-form audio podcast. Really encourage you to go listen to that. I'll keep a link down below in the notes there. But we're going to mix it up here a little bit, have a different conversation because there's all kinds of stuff going on in the world of golf and sports. Well, first of all, I'm going to bring Preston on here. There he is. Good to see you again, sir. How are you doing today?
Hey, Colin. I'm good. How are you?
Doing well, thanks. Doing well. So yeah, we touched on it a little bit earlier on, but it's kind of a big thing, kind of topical. So let's actually start with this. The whole thing that went down yesterday at the time that we're recording this conversation, and that is the merger of the PGA Tour, DP World Tour with the Saudi Public Investment Fund, and Liv gets folded into that. Wow, some crazy stuff going on there, and lots of people are talking about it. But let's, rather than talking about what Rory and everybody else is arguing and upset about, let's focus on the opportunities here, especially with the digital experiences and the possibilities. So, hey, I want to get your quick take 24 hours into this, taking a sip from the fire hose, and what your initial thoughts are about the opportunities are with bringing all these leagues together as of what transposed yesterday.
Yeah, absolutely, Colin. And thanks for having me. This is great. I'm excited to see kind of what comes next here, as we all are. It's been unfolding slowly over digital media, which is kind of the new age of all of this, right? And every tweet, everyone's hanging by the edge as to what's coming next, and what's going to happen with each one of these different leagues. And it's an interesting time, right? Because you really have to look at ultimately what's the larger goal here, and where we started, and obviously the politics and obviously the various heads that may be that were in place and maybe still stay in place. We'll see what happens. Has now folded into what are we going to be able to do? And I think that the opportunity here is massive to a large degree as to how do we look at golf on a global level, on a true global level that allows for really no barriers anymore. And I think this is going to be an exciting time for golf, the same way that this has transpired across other sports over the last 50 to 100 years, right? And obviously golf is something that we're passionate about and ultimately have investments in as well, and really see the opportunity to grow the landscape. And to your point, I think it's what Liv was trying to do at its forefront was go out and find a new way to grow the game through a new format, obviously through a different way to receive that. And now it has the opportunity for those to be intertwined. And I think it's just going to be a great win for everybody. From our standpoint, we see it as an opportunity to, potentially have, new IP, new investments, and ultimately new reason to want to stand behind it. And I think we're going to start to see that as this unfolds. I think you're going to probably have the tour, which will still remain intact and have their events on the U.S. and North American scale for the most part. Obviously, the DP on a European front, and we're kind of live slash PIF operates on kind of this global side of things that allows for them to really showcase this and be part of something that you're going to see new markets and new media and new ways to consume that all come to a head. So an exciting time for sure, and one that we're going to follow closely.
Yeah, and you touched on it in your comments there, and you really had some insights on the audio podcast regarding other sports. The fact that coming together like this as one sports league or entity, even though it seems really disruptive and tumultuous right now, it's kind of the natural order of things, the way things have gone, as you mentioned, with the NFL, before with the AFL and the merger there, and also in basketball with the ABA. And coming together, that it's just the natural kind of amalgamation, and almost I can see an almost Darwinian selection, where in other sports like the XFL or over the USFL, not quite having the legs or having whatever assets or value of then falling by the wayside and not being folded into something bigger, where the components that we have here seem to fit that. So now I gotta think it out loud here, but I gotta put you on the spot here. With Liv, do you think Liv will be an AFL or an ABA, or will they end up being a US FL that will end up falling by the wayside? I'm going to put you on the limb here to get to think if will they thrive or survive in all this?
Well, money talks, and there's a lot more money involved in this one than any of the other ones. And I think that they also have, deeper pockets to then, effectively see this through. And I think what the PGA Tour is really leveraged here is the whole platform. And so, allowing for that to really showcase itself on this grand stage is going to be something that remains to be seen. And to the points about the other leagues. I mean, I think a lot of these leagues have operated independently to some degree over the course of the last century, and the opportunity for them to become intertwined, and as we talked about the ABA and the NBA and others, only allows for greater opportunities for everybody. And unfortunately, it's become more of a cash grab for the individuals and the quote unquote general contractors that are the players. But I think once we can start to really understand, and once they can start to understand, really the upside from all of that, it'll make more sense for everybody. And really at the end of it, it's all about growing the game for the better good. And if that's something that can be resolved here, then I think it's going to be a great impact for everybody.
Yeah. When you talk about growing the game and the work that you do with White Rock and Cerro Capital, do you see an opportunity, or what are the opportunities to unlock new markets, new fans, ones that have lagged or lapsed, or perhaps that refuse that particular sport? And golf has seen that, especially trying to connect with a younger, more diverse audience, not just to play the game on the recreational level, but even more so that bigger opportunity for brands and sponsors to become fans of the game. So what do you see? You have touched on Web3 and some other pieces in our earlier conversation, but where do you see the future now that it has all, or is coming together, that they can start to tap into underserved or this completely untapped markets?
Yeah, well, first and foremost, on the sponsorship side, I think that's the low hanging fruit here. And when we look at opportunities to make investments, obviously, you look at the media rights that are existed in all sports, and how those have continuously climbed and made for incredible investments that. If you look over the last 100 years, have outperformed the stock market. It's incredible. And so you start to think about this from the impact of having these teams and in the environment that allows for them to potentially be sold, and to have ownership shares in golf teams now the same way you do in an NFL or an MLB team. It's it's something that's going to be unique to the sport. And there's been price tags already floating out there at north of $2 billion for Team Smash, and I think those will only continue to rise. And obviously it's the investment community's decision to really understand if that's the right valuation or what, and that'll all start to come out here pretty quickly. But ultimately, I think that's going to be something that's going to be interesting to follow as this continues to move forward. And then ultimately, to your point, it's how are we leveraging the technology to be part of this? And we did touch on the use of new types of camera technology, really implementing 3D and that capacity to create these immersive experiences, to feel as if we were there. Something I've worked on in my past that we're starting to see firsthand now, even through what Meta released over the last couple of years, and what Apple's starting to release and kind of XR and AR, and using those platforms to really put us into the space and have those moments the same way that you and I could both go to a driving range now and then understand our ball flight and ability to move that through and really kind of understand the value behind everything it is that we're doing. And performance is something that I think is making this sports world a better place. And whether we're a professional athlete or an amateur athlete, getting some of these tools that we can see and start to understand, and that are made for us to slowly improve and to take baby steps to get better, whether it's two less putts around or one more fairway around, I think is something that only continue to improve. And it's a byproduct of all of this. And because ultimately, if there's money being spent at the top, it's also spent at the bottom, because the ultimate is the consumer. And what is it that we're willing to pay for it, and get that extra access, be able to watch every shot, ultimately understand how we can follow our favorite player both on the course and off the course, and that transfers to every sport. So I think these things will only continue to be proven along the way. And it's nice in a form or fashion. It's nice to see golf kind of start to compete on the level of the other sports and have those opportunities. And so I'm excited about it.
Yeah. Uh, I'm sure you being in Dallas, just down the street from you, and Austin is a company, no longer a startup. And I had the founder on the podcast a couple months ago. Good friends with him now, with Ryan Engel, who's the founder of Golf Plus VR. So I don't know if you're familiar with them. If you're
Yeah, of
watching
course.
the Netflix
Yeah,
series
yeah.
there, because Rory's invested in them, so they got a great plug in there. What I love about what they're doing there, which aligns a lot what you're talking about with as far as immersive experiences in the metaverse and in that kind of level of engagement, they've done some very interesting things already. Well, for example, at the 16th hole of the Phoenix Open, and they also did it at the 17th hole at the Players Championship, the Island par three green. There is that using their technology, virtually playing. You can play in real time against the pros at that hole, which is incredible, and no one's really done that before. And they've kind of found a way to unlock, in my mind, the engagement value proposition there. So with what they're doing, I don't know if you're familiar with Golf Plus VR, but where do you see other opportunities in the future along those lines there for immersive, engaging fan experiences that are really a two-way street rather than just a passive have it wash over you and as you're watching?
Yeah, look, I think Golf Plus is great. What Ryan and them are doing is phenomenal, and then I've had many conversations there, and think it's something that is only going to get better and strengthen through this new technology that continues to improve on the hardware side, which allows those experiences to happen, and obviously software and where things are going, and we talked about the metaverse previously. There's sky's the limit on all of this, and so them allowing those experiences to happen, obviously the tour allowing those experiences to happen is something that is only going to continue to get better. I mean, we're seeing that in the TGL, and obviously what Tiger's been able to do with Rory, and the ability now to create a new venture that allows for seamless play on a global level from a local spot, and that only continues to excite me. I'm seeing obviously the ability to go play golf in the middle of Manhattan, or ultimately down the street from my house on within special clubs that allow for us to create new meaningful social experiences in and around golf. And as simple as it is to have a simulator and several simulators together, and be part of those experiences is something that's unique, and really connects us. And I think that's the beauty of golf, is it's a connector that no other sport really offers. And it was interesting. I was talking to Eric Lang recently, who founded Random Golf Club, and obviously everything that comes with that. And his mission is all about understanding the person that you met, and had no clue who they were 5 minutes ago. But when you walk off even the first tee, and then obviously 18th green, that you're good friends, and you can continue to have conversations in and around a game that we both love and appreciate. And that's the beauty of all this. And so investing in technology that allows for us to get better and improve and ultimately tell our friends and create these novel experiences, and ones that we can do that potentially we're not able to do in other sports is something that's unique, and we see a lot of future and focus in. And that expands from golf, right? And I think that's what's been so exciting about watching the progression of pickleball in the United States. What's starting to receive with Padel on a global level, and other sports is flag football included, is there is the opportunity now to leverage ourselves as athletes, even past our prime, Colin, that we can still be out there and competing and performing and enjoying those moments, because that's what it's all about.
I agree completely. So I can keep going on and on and on here, but hey, let's keep it at that, because we want to encourage our viewers to become listeners also. Like I said, our conversation expanded way past all the good things that you touched on here, Preston. So yeah, down below in the description, got the link to that. And hey, if you enjoyed this conversation, talking to a sport entrepreneur and innovator like Preston, we've got plenty more on our YouTube channel here at Mod Golf. So please subscribe to the channel so you can follow all the good things that we're doing here as we explore the future of golf and sports. So hey, with that, Preston, good to see you again. Thanks so much for joining me today on the Mod Golf YouTube channel.
Thanks, Colin. We'll see you on the course.
Absolutely.